Mr. Nightmare, 2 true Uber/Lyft horror stories. Here we go.
This first story has high-quality visuals, courtesy of the YouTube channel Dark Echoes.
I remember Unit doing this on one of his stories.
When I was 21, I spent 2 years studying abroad in the United States. It was nearing the end of my second semester when my friend Letitia came to visit. She was the most perfect, blue-eyed, blonde-haired French girl that you could possibly imagine. One who embodied the full expression of sensuality and je ne sais quoi. We met a few years earlier at a student exchange party in Argentina, and I was instantly smitten by her beauty and passion for life and cultural immersion. After she got settled in, we went to a nearby city for sightseeing and dancing. It was a fun night. Letitia and I enjoyed drink after drink as we celebrated being back in each other's arms again. At 2 a.m. the nightclub closed, and Letitia and I said goodbye to our new friends. We walked to a Waffle House a couple blocks away and indulged in a calorie-heavy meal. We were happy, still a bit tipsy and ready to pick up where things left off back in Argentina. It was nearly 4 a.m. when Letitia and I left the restaurant. We requested an Uber to take us home and waited outside for the car to pick us up.
That's your first
2
mistake.
minutes later, an average-looking vehicle pulled up and stopped directly in front of us. The driver waved for us to get in, and we thought nothing of it. We climbed in, and Letitia gave me a playful spank. As the car pulled out of the parking lot, the driver asked for the address. I searched my purse for the information on the rental we were staying at and gave it to him. It didn't occur to me in that moment that he should have already had that information from when we requested the service. The moving lights from the street lamps intermittently illuminated Letitia's body. She was wearing a thin blue dress that flattered her beautiful silhouette, and I was eager to explore her body beneath. As she pulled my mouth close to hers, I could see a notification light illuminating the leather car seats.
Here we go.
I tried to steal a look, but a seductive whisper from Letitia redirected my attention back to her. Another notification. This time I checked my phone, and to my surprise, it was from Uber. It said our car had arrived at the Waffle House. I started searching the car for the Uber logo. My heart sunk as I realized we weren't in an official vehicle.
Oh,
I
fuck.
told the driver, "Sir, I think we got in the wrong Uber." With a reassuring tone, he responded that it was okay because he was an independent driver and that we were almost there.
No.
What my increasing anxiety. Once again, I was pulled into Letitia's seductive web. She continued to kiss my neck and moan into my ear. A few minutes later, the car abruptly turned. I looked out the window and saw we weren't on the freeway anymore. We were on a side street in a mostly empty section of the city. When I looked up at the driver, I noticed he was leering at us through the rearview mirror. My paranoia took over. I sat straight in my seat and gently separated myself from Letitia. She was unhappy I pulled away, but I told her to slide over and gestured at the driver. She immediately understood and stopped being so overtly physical with me in the back. A few seconds later, the car pulled into an industrial parking lot and stopped. This obviously wasn't the destination. We were both worried. Letitia took my hand and squeezed her body close enough that I could feel her rapid heartbeat against my arm. The driver turned off the car and used his fingers to brush his hair to the side. And then he said, "Want to have some fun?" I mustered as much strength as I could manage and let him know we just wanted to go home. I tried to sound strong and authoritative. My voice came off soft and weak.
Yeah.
With a penetrating gaze, he said that he was a nice guy with alcohol back at his apartment. He turned back to face us, and Letitia squeezed even tighter against me. I demanded he start the car and take us back home. After a long glance at our legs, he turned back to the front and started driving again. I took out my phone and dialed a friend from the college. No answer. I tried another friend. Nothing. I realized it was almost 5 a.m. on the weekend.
1.
Nobody was going to answer. Nobody was going to help. And then he pulled into a large, empty parking lot and stopped again. Letitia started panicking. I could feel her legs shaking against mine. Her desperation was palpable. I spoke in the loudest, deepest voice I could muster. "We're done. We're leaving." He only smiled and leered. I tried to open my door, but it didn't budge. Letitia tried to open hers and had the same result. The driver must have activated the child locks. Letitia started screaming. Her heavily accented English was almost impossible to understand. I quickly took the phone and tried to call my friend again. It went to voicemail. We were in an isolated parking lot in the middle of the night with no one walking or driving anywhere nearby. Two petite girls with micro dresses, high heels, and nothing in our purses to possibly defend ourselves. The driver reached back and put his hand on Letitia's leg. She slapped it away. "Feisty Frenchie," he said. He suddenly opened his door and left the car. He walked to the nearby bushes and started looking for something. Letitia turned to me and said,
Climb into
You'll kill us.
Climb into the front
That
seat
moment,
and drive the
I
car.
suddenly remembered a documentary I saw as a child in Argentina. In one of the stories, a woman described how she avoided being assaulted. I told Letitia I had a plan. I put 2 fingers into my mouth and triggered my gag reflex. A moment later, I vomited in my hands. I then started rubbing the foul mix of alcohol and pancakes all over my dress.
What?
The smell hit Letitia. She puked as well. We both rubbed it on our arms, legs, and even our faces. We were absolutely disgusted.
No! No!
Sounds of the doors unlocking. I looked up and saw the infuriated driver holding a grimy bag he must have retrieved from the bushes. He screamed at us to get out. We stumbled out of the car and hardly had a moment to collect ourselves before he drove off. A feeling of relief washed away my fear. I took out my phone to request another Uber. We sat together, contemplating the night. We were alone. Nothing left to fear. The worst was behind us. Letitia took off her dress, and we used it to clean ourselves the best we could. When our car arrived, we confirmed it was our Uber and got inside. Letitia comforted me by taking my hand, and I knew this was an experience neither of us would ever forget.
Fucking hell. Story 2 by Chief. Now this is a traditional Mr. Nightmare story.
It was a stormy night, the first thunderstorm of the year. This was after my night shift ended at 4 a.m. I had to call a Lyft to the train station since I didn't have my car at the time. I waited outside the place I bartended at the time, under the front patio to avoid getting soaked. The car pulled down the empty street and stopped in front of the bar. I had to check the Lyft app to ensure it was the correct car, and it was. A gray Honda Civic. I got in and greeted the driver, whose name was Sahil. I attempted to get in the front seat at first, but he told me not to and to sit in the back. That was only the second time I ever tried sitting in the front. That was before I realized it was customary to sit in the back seat. From the bar to the train station, it was about 10 minutes. The reason I was taking the train instead of just Ubering the whole way to my house is because I'd be saving about $40. The driver was going very slow, but there was nothing weird about that given the weather outside. I would expect anyone to drive cautiously in a torrential downpour like this one. The driver didn't take the highway route. He took us down the side roads. I wasn't concerned about missing my train, though. I had plenty of time. I wasn't concerned until the driver said something under his breath and then pulled the car to the side of the road. I looked up from my phone to see why. I saw a man in the pouring rain waving his hands in the air. I almost asked if he was stopping to pick him up, but I just observed. And yes, the man on the street got in the back passenger seat next to me. He was soaking wet. He kept his black hood on in the car. I scooted all the way over to the left. I was expecting the man and the driver to exchange some kind of words, but they didn't. Did they know each other?
Oh no.
I had no idea what was going on. During the ride, I felt in the corner of my eyes the feeling of that man next to me looking at me. Maybe he was looking out my window, so I shot a quick half-second glance to him. But I was wrong. He was looking at me. On top of it, as the drive progressed, I started paying more attention to the route we were taking. It wasn't the right way to the train station. I tried to sneak a peek at the driver's phone screen to see if maybe he was following some incorrect route. But he seemed to have his phone on his lap, unlike most Lyft drivers who have their phones mounted on the dashboard. I politely said, "I think we're going the wrong way." He replied something in such a low tone mixed with a thick accent that I had a hard time understanding it. By the third time I asked him to repeat himself, I finally just repeated myself and said we're going the wrong way. I confirmed this by checking the map on my phone. The driver didn't acknowledge me. I felt as though the guy next to me was inching closer every minute. He also wouldn't stop staring at me. Eventually, I asked the driver to pull over and cancel the ride. No acknowledgement. The driver was blowing stop signs, and there were no stoplights anywhere on these side roads, so I didn't really have a good time to escape, but I knew I was about to be their victim of something. This was some kind of trap.
Yep.
So I decided I was going to jump out of the car when I had the chance. I waited till we were on a street with woods on one side, which was perfect for me to make my escape. The car was going probably 15 to 20 miles per hour. I opened the car and jumped out. The two men screamed stuff in a different language, guessing to each other. My impact with the ground was obviously painful, but I think the layer of water on the street might have cushioned my fall a little bit. The car completely stopped, and I saw the man who was next to me get out. I had to get on my feet and run into the woods. I heard him chasing after me for a little bit, but there was no shot he'd find me. I heard him yell something back to the car. It sounded like it was in Russian. Then he ran back to the car and then drove off. I immediately called an Uber instead of a Lyft this time, and this time I was brought safely to the train station. While on the train, I went ahead and filed an online police report, and then contacted Lyft and reported the driver. The next day, I also went to the police station and reported the whole incident. But here's where the bomb was dropped. It was a gray Honda Civic reported stolen just the night before. I gave them every last detail I could remember, and eventually I was on my way. I left that police station contemplating my life, and just how narrowly I may have escaped with my life.
Okay. Some very, very good creepy stories there. But that first one, the production values involved there are obviously incredibly high. But I think it was just a wee bit cringy and a wee bit off-putting to see because she wasn't faking that vomit. She actually legit vomited into her hands, and it's all. And
This is a collection of some of this.
It's just, it was just not nice, not nice at all.